So the way we'll do this is first, I guess we'll leave it to you to, do a bit of overview and presentation of us. I think you have one slide that you wanted to talk about, or just you want to talk about. So that we'll do that. Then I'll ask you some questions. We also have Pareen Tanna, who's the head of our consumer and retail sector, and she'll have some questions as well. And any participants, if they have any questions, you can put it in the Q&A chat and we'll ask. We'll limit this to more strategic kind of questions. You would have heard the quarterly earnings call, which was very comprehensive. Even the annual report is out. Most of the numbers are out. So we'll actually limit ourselves as much to the strategic issues, longer term issues, if that's okay. So over to you, Mr. Nair.
Thank you, Sanjeev, and good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and a warm welcome to each and every one of you. Delighted to be here, and thanks to B&K Securities for the opportunity. As Sanjeev said, we'll discuss the long-term outlook and key drivers for Shoppers Stop. Again, just reiterating what Sanjeev said, since we're talking of long-term, I'm not discussing our Q1 results, our performance update, the con call script, and investor presentation. All of it is there on our website, and we have posted it on stock exchanges as well. The investor presentation and con call is quite detailed, so if you have any questions on that, I would suggest that you could refer that. I think from a format point of view, I'll speak to you for the next 10 to 15 minutes, and after that, we'll answer all the questions. I have my colleague and CFO Karunakaran with me, who will help me or join me in taking the questions. Before I speak to you on our long-term plans, a brief introspection on the overall economic performance and specifically for the retail sector. As we all know, we had a second wave, which was far worse than the first wave in terms of impact on human life. Fortunately, we are behind us. That's behind us. More importantly, the vaccinations have started, and the consumer sentiments have almost grown directly proportional to the growth in vaccination. As the vaccination also is giving the consumer confidence to step out, and that's what we are seeing. In parallel, what the number of cases have gone down, and because of that, the government has promised or has allowed us to open all our stores, with Maharashtra being the last one, which was also allowed from the end of August. With the momentum picking, our sales recovery has also been very good in July and August. And I must say it has been extremely encouraging and very different from what we saw in the first wave. If I look at our July and August numbers, we would be at 85 to 90% of pre-COVID levels, which is extremely delightful and encouraging both. Even as we speak, the festive season is about to begin, and we are very confident that the momentum that we have seen in July and August will grow even further. Based on all of that, I'm very confident that Q3 and Q4 should be better than last year, almost at pre-COVID levels. Of course, comes with the health warning that this is all assuming a third wave does not come about, or even if it does come about, is neutralized by the various government initiatives that have been put in place, as also the double vaccination growing as we keep going. Now, let me take you through the strategic initiatives for our long-term growth. As you all aware, if I look at Shoppers Stop, if we look at our strengths, what are our strengths? First and foremost, very strong brand recognition. Shoppers Stop has excellent brand awareness and is a very well-loved brand, recognized as an icon of Indian retailing. Its physical presence, we have anchor locations in pretty much all the major malls in the country, and that's a huge advantage. combined with the fact that we have very long-term leases, which gives us a clear, steady future in place when it comes to locations. The third, and probably as important as the first two, if not even more, is our First Citizen base. We have over 8 million loyal First Citizen customers, with First Citizen itself being one of the most recognized loyalty programs in the country. The fourth big strength that Shoppers Stop has is the brand partnership that we have across apparel, beauty, and accessories, including watches, sunglasses, etc. And these partnerships have been there for a long time and are extremely strong. Pretty much every single major brand in the country has a partnership with us, predominantly for our physical space, but increasingly also going beyond to our shopperstop.com. Fifth is our significant presence in beauty. We are the leaders in physical retail when it comes to beauty, and we are making progress online. And the final one in terms of strength, which I have listed out, is customer service. Now, that's something which everybody talks about. Every company, every brand, every retailer would talk about customer service. However, I do believe that ShopperStop stands out when it comes to customer service, and its personal shopper program is just an illustration of that fact. The fact that over 16% of our sales come from the personal shopper program. It is a unique program in this country, offered only by us, and customers come out and seek out our personal shoppers not just for assistance but for advice. And recently we have extended that to our beauty space as well, where we have beauty specialists advising customers on what beauty products to use, what combination of beauty products to use. And that's something which we intend to build on as we go forward. So those are the few strengths. And I just wanted to give that as a background before I go into our strategy. I hope you can see our slide. There is just a single slide that I intend to use, so I won't bore you with a lot of slides.
Yes, we can see, yeah.
Thank you. So our strategy, and if I just talk our purpose, our vision, we will profitably double the size of our business in the next 5 years by becoming the most loved shopping destination for the young Indian family, and in turn enable communities to live and feel better. That's what we have set as our purpose. The 4 strategic pillars that drive this purpose and which will help us to achieve that. The first and foremost is Omnichannel, and transforming ShopperStop from the brick and mortar retailer that it was a couple of years back to a seamless Omnichannel retailer. This is something which the journey is already on. We are well onto that path. And the simple fact that today, every single of our 85 physical stores and the 150 odd beauty stores are all seamlessly linked on our omni-channel business. Every single option in every single store is listed on shopperstop.com, giving the customer the ability to be able to buy any of our products at any time of the day or night, irrespective of where they are, is a big step forward. And what it does is optimizing our inventory. A number of e-commerce players, marketplace players do their e-commerce business by having a separate inventory. And by us physically linking each of our stores to our shopperstop.com, what we have been able to do is to optimize our inventory. And that gives us huge efficiencies at the back end. On the front end, the customer gets every single product that we are offering. They are able to choose at any point in time. So that's the first step from an omni-channel point of view. From a pure customer point of view, the fact that customers are able to shop seamlessly, whether they choose to walk into our store and buy a product or choose to start the journey online, see the product and then walk into a store, try the product, whether it is from a fit point of view, whether it is trying it on their skin because of beauty and how it looks, what color it is, does it match, and so on and so forth. All of that opportunity is available for the customer to choose with us. And that's a journey which we are well on the way now, and we intend to make that going stronger, because our belief and a strong belief is that going forward, the future of retail is omnichannel. It will not be brick and mortar, it will not be online. It is a combination of the two. And with the physical presence, which is a huge strength for us, with the ability that we have now built on shopperstore.com, we are in pole position to be a true omnichannel retailer, which is what we are becoming day by day. The second pillar is on beauty. And I already mentioned that we are leaders in the physical space, and our aim is to continue growing our physical presence, sustain that leadership position that we have offline. We have our own department stores. We also have exclusive franchise relationship with the Estee Lauder group of companies. So all the standalone Estee Lauder brands of MAC, Unique, Estee Lauder, Joe Malone, Too Faced, and Bobbi Brown are all run by us, and all further expansion is also done by us. Apart from that, we had launched Arcelia, which was our own Shopperstore's own beauty format. Our intent is to continue with that, and we would be opening another 5 to 10 stores over the next few months. We've got the first 3, which we are fairly confident we should be opening before December, and continue with that journey as we go forward. The third strategic pillar for us is private brands, and increasing the share of private brands to 25% of our business over the next 3 years. To put this in perspective, in the year FY20, it was 12% of our total business. By the end of Q1, it had grown to close to 15% of our business, and we expect that to close at around 17% by the time we get to March 22. That's a journey which we are progressing, and progressing very well. I must also flag that this is percentage of the total business. If I look at just apparel, it is even today over 20% and will be closer to 26 to 27% by the time we get to March 22. So that journey well on way, and being achieved by having a sharp definition of each brand, what lifestyle it caters to, which customer it caters to, and a clear positioning on the 9-box grid that we work on. And by doing that and aiding it with strong communication, we believe that this is something which we will be able to grow very rapidly on. The fourth strategic pillar to help us achieve our purpose is expansion, and aggressive expansion all across all formats. I talked about Shopperstore Beauty, our main department store format. We have taken a target of opening between 10 to 12 stores every year over the next few years. And for the next 2 years, we have clear line of sight with properties identified, leases signed, and should open pretty much on track. If anything, some of these openings had got delayed because of COVID, because in the infrastructure work had stopped, but that's well past us now, and work is progressing at a rapid pace in most of the malls where we have signed up. So those are the 4 strategic pillars: omnichannel, beauty, private brands, and expansion or reach, which would take us or would help us to double our business over the next 5 years. And when we say double, we are talking of doubling it from the FY20 numbers. The key enablers, First Citizen, I already talked about, and just to talk a little bit more on First Citizen, how we are using it, and I will combine it with the last enabler, which is digital. We are investing very heavily on technology. We adopted S4 HANA. We finished the first phase last year. We are into the second phase where we are implementing the retail and finance modules of S4 HANA currently. In parallel, we have engaged with Accenture to support our investment and growth in technology. And with the help of Accenture, we have now built a data lake. And using that data lake, we are building a very strong analytic function. The analytics function works across the business and helps each of the key functions to get deeper and understand better the data that they get, and then use that data to reach back to customers, to be able to engage with customers at a much more individual level, with the eventual aim of getting to a personalization of one, where every single customer is spoken to, is communicated to, is engaged with on a one-to-one basis based on their most favored brand, their most favored category, their preferences, where else are they shopping, what else are they doing, which pages are they going, and based on all of that. And remember, our ability to be able to see what they do online and to see what they browse, what they shop when they walk into the store, and combining the two along with the history of what they have shopped with us, bought with us, which we would have in the First Citizen program, is what gives us a very strong platform to be able to engage with our customers very strongly. We also, within the First Citizen program, have the First Citizen Black program, which is a subscription program, fee of 4,500, and it is on an annual subscription. And I'm delighted to share that even in the COVID year, the one set of customers who we grew were our First Citizen Black customers, and that's something which is continuing to grow because of the benefit that the First Citizen Black customers see with us. And by engaging and enrolling customers onto the subscription program, what we find is that the First Citizen Black customer shops with us 4 times more than our regular First Citizen member. Now remember, the First Citizen member itself is a loyal customer and is shopping with us more than a non-First Citizen customer. The First Citizen Black customer is shopping 4 times more than what a First Citizen member does. So that's something which we are very, very proud of, very happy with, and something which we continue to nurture and grow, the whole First Citizen program. And just to remind everyone, First Citizen is one of the very few enrolled loyalty program. Most loyalty programs in this country are free. First Citizen is the only one which, even at the base level, is an enrollment program where customers pay to enroll into that program. And the only reason they pay and enroll into the program is because of the benefit that they see by joining into that. And that's something which they continue to enjoy through the life of their relationship with us. The second key enabler is our partnerships. We are a house of brands. Customers come to us because of the choice that we offer. And our expansion beyond the metros, going into the tier 1B, tier 2, tier 3, is taking these brands into cities and towns where they are not present and offering all of that under one roof with regular newness, regular fresh merchandise, which drives repeat walk-ins. And that's where our expansion takes us to, giving us the ability to take our brand partners into newer locations. And that's something, as I said before, we will continue to grow at the rate of 10 to 12 department stores every year. And finally, key enabler, of course, people. And we have, over the last 3 years, re-looked at our organization, re-looked at the skills that is needed. And I would say in the last 8 to 12 months, especially after COVID hit, we have had a considerable amount of new skills added to help us drive the omnichannel transformation that we have been working on. And that's something which has now become mandatory. Having good digital background, digital knowledge, and a digital thinking is almost mandatory for us for any new recruit that we do. And that is the journey that we have been on in terms of people, backed with strong performance management and the winning culture that Shopper Stop has always had. We are recognized as one of the great places to work, and that's something which we continue to nurture and grow. And finally, just to reiterate the importance of digital, I already spoke about it, and that's absolutely fundamental to the growth of the business, growth of Shopper Stop. And as you all know, COVID has only accelerated that whole journey, and our focus, attention, and investment has been significant in that area, and that's something which we continue to do as we drive the transformation of our business to an omni-channel retailer. So that, in a nutshell, is our strategy and how we are planning. I must remind you that discussions on today's call do include some forward-looking statement, as you would have heard me. This should be viewed in conjunction with the risks that the company is facing during the critical times. So brings me to the end of the short sort of opening remark that I wanted to make. Request all participants to now ask your questions. Do request you to keep it strategic in nature, and of course, any housekeeping questions, earning guidance for Q2, etc., will be answered separately by Karuna and his team on a one-on call. Thank you.
Venu, thanks a lot for that. I think that puts your strategy in perspective. But let me ask some organizational level questions actually, and even your personal journey. So you've been in the retail industry now for 27 years, been with Marks and Spencer for many years, and then last year as a CEO of Westside. What made you join Shopper Stop?
Thanks, Sanjeev. That's an interesting question. Obviously, one which I reflected on around 12 months back, almost to the day, which is when I had started the conversations with Shopper Stop. And there were, I think, 4 reasons which prompted me to make the change. The first and foremost was the vision of Shopper Stop to transform itself to an omni-channel retailer, and the commitment of the board, and also the investment committed towards making that shift to being an omni-channel retailer. And when I say investment, obviously the investment into digital, which is fundamental. I firmly believe and very strongly believe that the future of retail is omni-channel. And I must say that Shopper Stop is one of the few companies which is actually making that transformation, which is putting its money where its mouth is in terms of investing on shopperstop.com. A number of our competition is going digital, but through the marketplace route. The long-term strategic sustainable growth of a retailer will come by moving itself to being truly omni-channel. And that comes by building your own brand and your own brand site. A marketplace is finally a channel which will not build your own brand. Shopper Stop was committed, is committed, and that was the first reason which attracted me towards Shopper Stop. The second one, my experience and my background is all around private label. And that is one of the strategic pillars, as I just mentioned, and the opportunity to grow that. But also build on the department store format itself. And there have been a number of chats, both formal and informal, about the department store future being questionable. Will it survive? Will it grow? Will it take off at all? And especially when you look at the West, in the European markets, in the US, department stores have been having a fairly tough time. I believe in India it will be different, and the reason it will be different is because India is a growing economy. If I put this in perspective, today organized retail, which is what brands like Shopper Stop or all retailers play, is only 21% of the market. 29% of the market. 71% of the market is unorganized. So just that move from unorganized to organized, which will continue to happen over the next 10 to 15 years, will continue to grow organized retail. And department stores will play an important role because in India, Indians as a community are very social. Shopping, going out, to the cinema, to the food court, eating out, meeting as a family, meeting friends. These are actual social events, and these are things that people do on a day in, day out, weekend to weekend, and that will continue. Unlike the West, where you have multiple avenues for leisure, those are not available in this country and will not be available. And where they are available, it's expensive. And hence, retail shopping will continue to grow, will continue to be important. And physical retail combined with the ability to be able to shop online is what will drive that. And hence, the second point in terms of the attraction of Shopper Stop was that part, the physical presence, the private brand focus, and the ability to grow. The third was beauty, and that's something which is a differentiator for Shopper Stop and a differentiator within the retail business. When I look across the rest of the players, beauty is something which others are playing catch up to, especially in the physical space. And beauty is one which gets people to come to the stores because it is also experience led. Makeup, makeovers, all of that has to be done physically. Online, you can do only so much. And that's a point of difference because that also is a traffic driver into the store. And hence, another point of difference that Shopper Stop has. And fourth, of course, is just the brand. And probably that was the first, but I'm just mentioning it as the last because Shopper Stop, icon of Indian retailing, it is something which everyone has known. It is a very well-loved brand, and hence it made me, I mean, those were the considerations that I had, which eventually made me make the move to Shopper Stop.
Great. And in terms of, operational freedom, so, how much operational freedom, given the promoters also are there, you have large shareholders who are promoters, how much operational freedom there is in terms of board and in terms of actually managing this business?
I think I have worked in 3 large businesses, and I would say that I have the most amount of operational freedom in this business compared to all the others that I have had. And I've been extremely delighted and happy with the level of support and independence that I get from the board and the promoters. I think the promoters are absolutely fantastic in terms of the engagement that they have, the discussions that we have, which are thought-provoking and at the same time quite fresh. And that's something which is very, very refreshing.
Great. So moving on to some of the changes that you've made, or actually you got in fresh people, as you said, I think there is Mr. Shrikant Chetlur who's come in, who's now heads the, e-commerce and Omnichannel, and then you have Mr. Sandeep Narayan coming in. In terms of your team now, do you think you have all the requisite bandwidth now to take this business to the next level?
You're right. We've had 2 significant additions to the team in the form of Shri and Sandeep, and very, very delighted with both of these individuals. Both of them come in with a good mix of experience, and not just functional expertise in their own domains, but also a combination of international and Indian retail experience. And for me, that international experience was very, very important because the retail in India is still growing and also learning. Retail in other parts of the world have evolved and are ahead of India when it comes to processes, systems, and ways of working. And that's what these individuals bring in. There is one gap still in the team, and we are missing a head of marketing who we expect to join sometime over the next 8 weeks. And that would complete the team. It's somebody we have identified and should be joining us over the next few weeks. So once that happens, then the team is complete. Very happy with the way the team that we have together. And I must say, and Karuna can may add to that, but because he's seen both the recent and the time before before I joined. But I do believe that we have a very well functioning, very well synchronized team now, and we are starting to see the benefits of it, the results of it.
Great. Okay, now moving to your strategic pillars. So omni-channel, let's start with omni-channel. And, you are, a lot of players are approaching it the other way, that they started as e-commerce and now putting, stores. Whereas you have stores and now you are going e-commerce. Is there a challenge doing that? Like, what are the challenges when you do it this way?
Yeah, I think, as I said, the future of retail is omni. It's neither brick and
Yeah.
mortar nor online. The online players will go the brick and mortar way, and online players will add physical stores, and physical
Yeah.
stores will add online. So that's par for the course that will happen. In terms of what are the challenges, what are the problems, I think uh, the biggest one tends to be the legacy systems that one would have, and making those legacy system uh, synchronize with new age technology. And for example, moving to a tech stack and an architecture which is much more seamless and headless effectively.
Mm.
But also there are advantages, and the one which I talked about, the ability for us to be able to list all our products onto the website across all of our stores is something which has been possible because of the strength of the physical space that we have. And
Right.
the added advantage of this physical location, of course, is the fact that we are able to reach the product to the customer in a shorter time and at a cheaper cost because of the physical proximity. And that's something which benefits us. Uh, the other change that one needs to bring in as we move to being an omni-channel retailer is also the cultural shift that we need to bring in. The cultural shift that we bring in terms of people, carrying the people along, bringing in a digital mindset. And for that, we have had a number of different sessions that we have put together for the team for pretty much every function, top to bottom, to get them to appreciate digital, to be able to understand the difference in terms of ways of working and being able to adopt to it. And that, given the size of the organization and given the length of uh, period that we have been operational, that's quite a large challenge. And that's something which over the last 12 to 18 months, the company has been progressing on.
Sure. So, but we as outside, like people watching in terms of omni-channel, while you quote figures like, you may be 18% today or 15% or moving to 2025, but is it right to look at it like that? Because as you said, it's omni-channel. So sometimes it could be the store which is driving the, online revenue, and could be the other way around as well, right? So how should one look at it in terms of how you're progressing on this? Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And internally, we had discussions at the board, and one of the thoughts which we've had is we should stop looking at separate set of numbers for brick and mortar and online, and that's absolutely the way it will go forward because it is interspersed. In fact, we've said we will not look at it separately. We will have just one P&L, which is the
Mm.
shopper store P&L. It won't be online and offline because, as you
Mm.
rightly pointed out, who's to say when a purchase was made online, that journey
Mm.
didn't start offline, or vice
Yeah.
versa, where when something was bought in the store, and I think this is certainly true for certain set of products like watches or sunglasses, beauty. I'm almost 100% sure that the customer is viewing these products online, and when we did a dipstick survey, we had found that over 60% of the products that were bought offline had been researched online before they came to the shop. And
Right.
that's only continuing to grow. If
Mm.
anything, we are promoting more and more encouraging customers to go online, look at the product. And many a times, like if it is a watch and it is an expensive watch, we sell watches up to 1 lakh and more. And when somebody is spending that kind of a money, they want to look at it themselves before they buy it. And hence
Right.
they would still want to make that journey or will choose to make that journey before they buy. And because of that, yeah, I completely agree with you. And that's the philosophy which we have internally, where
Mm.
we believe that we would want to have just the one P&L across online and offline. I mean, I'll also give you another example. I mean, there are now online does tend to attract customers who are looking for a discount, and I think that's just the nature of the business. That's just the life cycle or the life stage at which online business in India is, partly driven by the marketplaces. Now, for that customer who's choosing or wanting to buy brands at a discount, we may be servicing it out of a warehouse rather than our store, because we would like to have fresh merchandise, new merchandise, the latest trends, the latest fashion in our stores. But for that bargain hunting, deal seeking customer, we still are able to service that customer online. Now, if we had to put those products in the store, that would have actually diluted the margin, diluted the offering to the customer, and made that store less attractive. And the ability to be not having to do that, again, is a big benefit we get.
Right. Sure. So also looking at, Amazon, who has a 5% stake, and, initially when the stake happened, I guess the rules were not very clear, regulations were not very clear, and then things changed. Do you see any regulatory changes going forward? What is your sense that can, maybe make this relationship more relevant going forward?
The relationship with Amazon is a strategic investment that Amazon have made, and it has progressed over the years. You are right, pretty much straight after the investment happened, there were changes in the regulation which did put a break onto the partnership, and we had to evolve and find ways by which we could to circumvent some of those. I mean, circumvent is not the right word. To abide by the new rules that had been put in. And what is encouraging is that we have gone past all of that, and today Amazon is a substantial player, a substantial channel through which we sell our products. And even as we speak, we have a constant, I mean, there is a dedicated team in Amazon working for Shopper Stop, and vice versa, we have a dedicated team for Amazon. And both these teams are jointly working to grow that business month on month. And it has been progressing very, very nicely over the last 12 months.
Yeah, but do you see any changes in terms of regulation that are you hearing anything, or maybe your interaction with the regulators?
I mean, there is a new e-com policy, the draft policy, which is currently being discussed, and we've also given our own inputs to that. But that's something which I think will continue to evolve, because the whole nature of the e-com business is something which is evolving, and there are newer things which are, I mean, newer, let's say, rules of engagement that are being put in place. And as that happen, I think we will evolve our business and abide by it. As to which direction they will take, I mean, I think that sort of goes into the sphere of speculation, which I would avoid at this stage.
Fair point.
Okay, just to give you the context, I think the present rules and regulations, what we have, I think Venu touched upon that. We worked out, and then we are abiding with the new the press note number 2. I think, and that's more or less on, and we are abiding with the new rules. So we don't foresee any difficulties in that.
Right. Great. Okay, moving to the beauty part of the business, while you said that, people do like to come online and, in the store and check it out. But if you see Nykaa, they've actually, from whatever numbers that are out, they are doing a sales of 2,400 crores and profitably, which is a rare thing, right? They're not buying sales like many other e-com players. So, which is actually good news for you also, that, you have a player who's disciplined. But in general, when you're looking at sales of, which is probably 3x your beauty business, and that's started as purely online. So how do you see that? And what can you do to kind of do something similar to what Nykaa has managed to do?
Firstly, I think we respect what Nykaa have done and really appreciate what they have done. I think they have done a really good job. As you rightly said, what makes it even more encouraging as well as noteworthy of praise is the fact that it has been what they have achieved is in a very short span of time. They started online and have moved offline. Again, they are expanding rapidly because obviously they are trying to establish their physical presence because that is needed. What are the lessons learned from Nykaa? I think first and foremost, I must point out and flag that beauty is an extremely profitable business for us as well and continues to be. And it is a reflection of the fact that Nykaa is also able to drive a profitable business, underlines the ability for us to continue to stay profitable even as we go forward. The opportunity for us is to grow online, and that's something which we are doing as we speak. And shopperstop.com and the share of sales on beauty from shopperstop.com is around the 15 to 16% mark, similar to what we have of beauty offline, and that's something which we expect to continue to grow. The other big area for focus for us within beauty is also private label. I briefly touched upon Arcelia. Arcelia is also our private label brand. We've launched bath and body products a few months back. This month, in the month of September, we will be launching perfumes and deodorants. And then we've also launched accessories in the beauty private label space. And then going forward, in Q4, we would be launching cosmetics in Arcelia. So Arcelia will have a full range of private label products, over 500 options, which will be launched in this year. And in the next financial year, we've got hair and skincare also planned. So the contribution of our own private label in the beauty space will grow. And that's something which Nykaa have done well. And that's something which we want to adopt ourselves. And we are well on the road to do that.
Right. Sure. So talking about private label, and which is another of your strategic pillar that you talked about. And as you said, your experience at Westside, I guess you're pretty much a private label company. If you put that here, and you've talked about a 25% share, I think in 3 years' time from what I saw. So if I look at that, what does it mean for ROIs? Is obviously gross margins are higher in private label, but does that mean even from a profitability return ratios perspective, is that much more profitable?
First and foremost, private label gives us the opportunity to manage the entire supply chain or the entire life cycle of the product from design to the customer. And it gives us the ability to react to the latest fashion, latest trends, and continue to be a destination for fashion, which is what we pride ourselves to be in. The second benefit, of course, is the margin and the benefit. Yes, private brand also gives us the ability to make a much better net margin. And it would be in the ilk of 25 to 30% more than what we would otherwise make. And that's the benefit that we would get. And obviously, as the share of private label keeps going up in our overall mix, the profitability and the profitability to sales, or rather the ratio of EBIT to sales or PBT to sales will also continue to grow.
But also in terms of balance sheet, is it better to have private label? Is it more efficient from a balance sheet perspective as well?
Sanjeev, I'll take this question. If you can be more specific.
What I'm assuming is that, as you said, the margins are higher in private label, starting with gross margins itself is higher. And as Venu said, as a percentage of sales, things are higher. But what about balance sheet requirement? Is it you require more working capital, or you require, our asset turns are any different in a private label compared to, let's say, a branded?
Okay, so let me answer, and probably Venu is an expert in this, and I would request her. See, right now we are working on what should be the ideal inventory, not only for private brand, even for our own other operating brands. we are working anywhere between 12 to 16 weeks of inventory. If I trade the higher margin, what I'm going to get in private brands, this is the carrying cost on the inventory, which is our carrying cost is insignificantly low. Obviously, the trade-off is better to the private brand. Specifically on inventory, we have been working with our suppliers to keep the stock at the minimum levels for a number of reasons. One, we also want to have the stock of fresh at the stores. So to that extent, the number of turns that has significantly increased as it used to be in the past. Leave aside the issues what we had because of COVID, which impacted last year and this year. But way forward, we are reasonably confident that we will be managing the inventory quite efficiently.
I will bring a business perspective to it, and management of inventory. I think it's almost an outcome rather than an input.
Right.
We are targeting shorter lead times, and we are targeting shorter lead times to be able to bring in the latest fashion. Now, fashion cycles have consistently been getting shorter and shorter, and for us to be able to meet those to be part of those fashion cycles, be a leader in that, it is vital that we are able to bring in newness every month. And that's something which I have stated before as well, and I would reiterate that what we are now working on is to bring monthly launches into the store. As we are bringing in monthly launches, what it also means is that we are buying much closer to the time it gets launched, and we are replenishing and repeating the number of turns much higher. So as we do that, because we do that, the total inventory that we are then bringing in is much shorter.
Right.
And hence I said that it's an output rather than an input.
Sure. Fair point. The fourth pillar, in terms of being more aggressive, one of the things that you all have, you are very relatively much more tier one focused, and we have seen, a lot of data coming out that most of the action that is happening is in tier two, tier three. I think you did talk about it in the earnings call also, but maybe you can elaborate a bit on your tier two, tier three strategy.
I think it's a very valid point. Currently, we are predominantly tier one focused, and that has been the strategy in the past, and also because of the fact that tier one is where consumption is high for our target customer. But also what we have seen is that the propensity to spend the disposable income in the tier twos have been growing quite dramatically. And again, if I look at the market data, 79% of the total retail industry or retail market is in the tier two and beyond. So it is a huge market which we haven't fully tapped into. Our expansion is predominantly into tier two and beyond. And if I just give as an illustration, this year, out of the 10 stores that we have planned to open, 8 of them would be in suburbs of tier 1 or tier 2s. And that is the direction that we see going forward as well. And as we do that, we are also making the format more effective and more productive by going in for store sizes which are in the region of 25 to 30,000 square feet compared to a 40,000 square feet that we used to open earlier. Because there could be certain categories that may not be as popular in a tier 2 and beyond. So there we would have a more curated, more edited version of it compared to a tier 1. And hence the productivity, the reason to have smaller spaces to be able to drive productivity.
Right. Sure. The last point from me is on COVID, so you obviously joined right in the peak of COVID and, you've seen a second wave, but I guess you talked about 29% organized share. One of the things that COVID is probably doing is making that share higher faster than what normally would have happened. But other than that, what about cost structures? You've talked about omnichannel as a growth and all that, but what about cost structures? Are you able to bring down costs because of this exercise, because of the COVID, and so you've already done cost cutting, but how much of this is permanent, you think, is what I'm trying to get at? And a related question on this, sorry, I'll just finish. A related question on this is, when you reach the last peak of sales, which is let's say 2018-19 was the last peak, will the margins and ROEs be much higher because of that?
Okay. Hey, again, let me answer because Venu joined slightly later, and then I will request Venu to probably correct. Okay. So even before COVID started, we engaged leading globally global company to benchmark our costs, not only the operational cost, even the employee cost. We just finished a detailed exercise. We benchmarked with other retail companies. And both again domestic as well international companies, and we completed the exercise. The exercise has started even before the COVID started. I mean, we completed sometime by February, March, and the sheer coincidence of COVID also started. And COVID, what also helped us is to probably enhance it further. What we also did is we did a zero-based budgeting, a complete zero-based budgeting, and we also did a benchmark versus the other retail companies and saw where we are efficient and where we are not efficient and how to make it efficient. So the COVID only precipitated our journey on the cost savings, and probably it increased the savings have increased. Answer to your next question. Will these cost savings are sustainable? Yes, it is sustainable. In fact, in one of the earnings call, if I remember right, last Q4, when Venu was addressing the analyst, we did mention that on a like-to-like basis, our cost savings should be anywhere between 150 to 200 crores. I would say more on the closer to 200 crores if you compare 2018-19.
Right.
Having said that, two things we want to. I mean, we are investing in our omnichannel and omnichannel journey. So that, though it may not be a recurring investment, some of these particularly tech investment may not be a recurring investment. But yeah, the saving ultimately has to yield. We need to plow back, and we are doing that. But on a like-to-like basis, we should definitely save close to 200 crores essentially. Sorry, Venu.
No, I think you covered all of that pretty much, and that's something which was almost opportune when we did it, and gave us the ability to be a lot stronger, not just in the financial FY21, but also in this year. And a substantial amount of that has been carried forward, which I think we've shared in the investor calls as well.
Sure. So thanks. Preen, sorry, I've hogged most of the time. Maybe Preen can go ahead.
I just have two questions, more again on a strategic perspective.
Preen, your voice is breaking.
Can you hear me now?
Preen, your voice is breaking. Yeah.
Yeah, it's better.
Sure. Sorry. What we see in the industry at this point of time is a lot of the companies are going asset light for the future expansions, going through the franchisee route, because also the turnaround time and the whole balance sheet stays leaner. I wanted to understand this in a bit more detail from your perspective. The fourth pillar, the expansion route, how are you taking this going forward? Are you saying going through the franchisee route anywhere in the future is a doable thing?
It's something which we have in our plans, and probably not yet at a stage where we could share more details about it, but certainly something which we have in our plans. I think from an asset light model, the other factor which is extremely favorable for Shoppers Stop is the relationship that we have with the brand partners. And that's something which again helps us from an inventory point of view, because a number of brand partners are on a different model where the inventory is held by the brands and transferred to us as and when the sale happens. So that obviously helps us from being asset light from an inventory point of view. From a franchisee point of view, that's something which is in the works and probably one for us to share in the next few months. We would rather talk about it once we have done it.
So, one more important thing, Karan.
Yes.
On the number of new stores what we are opening this year, the landlord is also sharing part of the total capex. So that is another effort what we have started from this year. So that's another one which will also improve the overall. I mean, what you talked about asset light model. Yeah, way forward. You almost suggested most of the things, and as Venu rightly said, it's in the ideation stage. We will talk about the idea right now.
Sure, sir. And sir, just a last question from my side. We have a lot of launches coming in the private label side and in the beauty part of business through Arcelia. I wanted to understand, are we considering marketplace as an option to market these products as well? Or is it going to be just through our shopperstop.com or maybe Omnichannel? So because of course this new launches will bring in a lot of revenue. So just wanted to get a sense of the way we want to sell it.
For the moment, it is shopperstop.com and Amazon because we have an exclusive partnership with Amazon, and hence we have restricted ourselves to that. It's an interesting thought, and I think goes back to what I touched upon earlier. It needs to be balanced out with our ability to grow our shopperstop.com and be an omni-channel retailer, because one of the benefits of having a private brand is also the exclusivity that we get, and hence giving the customer a specific reason to come to our website or come to our stores. So to that extent, we need to balance it out and maintain that exclusivity and give customers a reason to come to us vis-a-vis going mass into a number of marketplaces. And I mean, I guess given that at the moment, of course, it's only Amazon that we are in, even going forward when we expand, we would balance that out, and I wouldn't think that we would go mass into a number of marketplaces, because that's a point of difference. These exclusive brands are something which is available only in shopperstop.com and hence gives the customer a reason come specifically to us.
Got it, sir. Sanjeev.
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions that have come up. One is on the environment side. So ESGs, I guess, become a pretty important from an investing perspective. Anything that you can throw up on the, what you are doing on the environment, especially.
On the environment space, ShopperStop as a company has always been in the forefront and doing the right things in the space. We have at the moment started crystallizing our thoughts in terms of the areas that we want to focus on and grow, specifically in terms of the communities that we work in, second, raw materials, and the ability for us, or rather making sure that we are using sustainable raw materials both in our products as well as consumables that we have. And the third, in terms of the waste, which is the third area that we are looking at.
Right. I guess the other question is already answered. So, yes. Yeah, there are no more questions right now. So, I guess this was pretty comprehensive. Anyway, I think from a strategic perspective, anything that we've missed out and you would also want to highlight, sir?
No, I think it was a pleasure interacting. I thought your questions were sort of quite let's put it, I mean, covered pretty much all the aspects that we would have thought about, and at the same time probed into the right areas and helped us to bring out or explain our strategy even better or in greater detail. Thanks for that. All I would want to sum up is the journey to being an omni-channel retailer is one that we have embarked on, are on well, traveling at pace now, gathering pace. And that's something which we are very encouraged. We are extremely encouraged with the way the market is responding, especially in the last couple of months. And that puts us in pole position to capitalize as the market evolves and as the market grows and recovers and rebounds. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. And it's early days for you, and wish you all the best. You are, you have an iconic brand to now play with, and I'm sure next 5 years will be fantastic for you. And
thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Sanjeev, and thanks a lot. Thank you so much. It was a good meeting. Thanks so much.
Thank you, sir.